Hey guys, this is gonna be a video, a cool rant video. It's not gonna be a fun, happy time video because I feel like we need to talk about it. If anybody knows me, they know I voted for Joe Biden. I used to be Bernie or bust, but I was brought to the light and voted for Biden. It's my first presidential election that I really voted in. 2016, I voted not even third party. I just wrote in something. I was in Wyoming at the time, so I didn't really feel like my voice even mattered then. But anyway, Biden is a better candidate than Trump. The problem is Biden is still our enemy. Biden is not a good guy. In some instances, he's doing some policies that I really agree with. In others, it's making me pissed off to see what he's doing. So if you've caught up with the student loan debate and everything of that, you're going to know the drama that has unfolded recently. 2 or 3 weeks ago, Chuck Schumer came out and said that the government, and especially the president, could just write an executive action to forgive $50,000 in student loan debt. Federal student loans, not private. Well, today, November 17th, NPR released an article, and it makes me furious because, for one, Biden's plan, at least when he was campaigning after the primaries and Bernie and him came together, they agreed on $10,000 of student loan forgiveness, no matter what. And then an extra $10,000, I think, if you go into public service, so teaching, firefighter, policeman, nonprofit, etc. And even then, those programs are terrible. It's hard to get your loan forgiven in those programs anyway. Most people don't. But anyway, let's get into the drama. So NPR released this article. And the article says, the title at least says, that Biden wants to help pay some student loans, but there's pressure to go further. He has affirmed his support for erasing some student loan debt immediately. And basically, Biden repeated his support for a provision passed as part of the HEROES Act, which the Democratic-controlled House updated on October 1st. The provision calls for the federal government to pay off up to $10,000 in private, non-federal student loans for economically distressed borrowers. Biden specifically highlighted people having to make choices between paying their student loan and paying their rent, and said that the debt relief should be done immediately. Now here's the problem. This resolution is terribly means-tested. Terribly. For one, everybody can, there are some people that are economically distressed that can pay their rent and their student loans, but they can't do anything else. They can't own a car. They can't afford eventually a house because they have to pay off their student loan. And at times, they can only make the minimum payment, which usually doesn't pay it off. Usually you're just paying off the interest at that point. And then the next month you're paying off interest again because the interest accumulated to the point where you can't even pay it off. This is terribly means-tested. We should not be means-testing student loan forgiveness, especially private, non-federal student loans. Do you know the ratio between student loans from the federal government and then private lenders? About 10% of student loans are private. They aren't federal. So this is only helping 10% of those people. Now, how many of those people arguably fall on the economically distressed borrowers? That's really hard to say. So it seems like a measure, and this is what makes me very furious. It seems like a measure to say, oh, well, we did that, but, we couldn't go further enough with it. I would have loved to forgive him more debt, but let's be honest, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. The thing is the Department of Education controls the student loans debt federally, meaning that the president doesn't even need Congress to deal with it. He literally can write an executive action today and go, okay, I'm going to forgive, $100,000, all of the debt. That's what Bernie Sanders wanted to do. He didn't want to pass a bill. He wanted to just write an executive action erasing all that debt. Of course, that leaves the private non-federal student loans there. But the problem is 92% to 90% of people who have student loans are federally backed. So this isn't helping anybody. This isn't helping anybody significantly. It helps like 10%. And even if in that 10%, we don't know how many people qualify under economically distressed. Here's the thing. We should not be means testing anything in this country. Do you need help? You should get it. Do you need welfare? You should be able to get it. Of course, means testing welfare, depending on what circumstances are, it isn't a valuable thing. We don't want to ruin welfare because, Tommy in his $10 billion mansion wants welfare. No, obviously not. But when I say we shouldn't be means testing things, we shouldn't be means testing the ability to get on our feet as people. Most student loan borrowers can't pay off these loans in an effective time frame to where they can enjoy their lives. There's a big difference. Student loans today have crippled my generation, millennials, Gen X. You know who they haven't crippled? Boomers. And boomers have had the ability to sail through college on minimum wage jobs without any issue. But we haven't. And we need help. We are living in a pandemic that has wrecked our economy. And by the way, when people try and think that in 2021, Biden is magically going to fix this economy in a year, I don't believe that. Recessions do not go away in a year. It takes a gradual amount of time. We're going to have to rebuild the economy. And when you go and look at Wall Street, is that really a reflection? A real reflection of how the economy is doing? No, because even in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, when Donald Trump was president and the stock market went to like huge margins, was the economy really good? No. We still had people dying of health care. We had still people not going to see a doctor because they were like, oh shit, this is going to cost me $5,000 just to see a doctor, and then $100,000 to maybe get better. It's the same thing with student loans. People don't go to college because they have student loans to worry about. People aren't able to go because they're like, am I going to be able to do what I want to do and get an affordable education? No. And this is what pisses me off. Because then Biden comes out and he says in his campaign platform, I want to make college free, at least tuition free, public colleges, mind you, for anybody that, for a family that doesn't make $125,000, so mean testing even that, when it should just be free for everyone, no matter who the fuck you are. Let's be honest. Democrats mean testing isn't going to help anybody. But when Biden comes out and he says, I want to make public college free for a lot of people, that's amazing. That's amazing. But we shouldn't stop there. We should make college affordable for everyone. Even if you're rich, even if you're poor, even if you're middle class, everybody should have that opportunity. Everyone. Just like everybody should have the opportunity to go see a doctor, no matter your income level. If you're rich and you're poor, you should have the same opportunity to get the same level of care. This is why means testing is stupid. Because when we means test something, let's say Biden's public option for a matter. I know this is a huge rant that's going all over the place, but means testing is terrible. His public option only works for Medicaid people. It doesn't work for, let's say, if I'm Tommy and I work a $35,000, office job in the middle of Montana. I'm not going to be able to get it because I don't qualify for Medicaid in Montana. I'm not able to get on the public option. I'm not able to do that. And the public option's meant to be a competitor to private insurance companies. Yeah, right. it's still going to be the same shitty thing. Because let me tell you, poor people do not get the best care, even with Medicaid. When people talk about Medicaid, and they're like, well, they get free healthcare. It's not free. It's not free. There are disadvantages to Medicaid. Usually the doctors that you have to deal with in Medicaid are so backed up that it takes time to get into them. Because they have to deal with so many patients because they're the only ones that take it. That's the thing. We need to stop means testing healthcare, means testing student loan forgiveness, means testing college, means testing anything in this country. Because it's not going to help anybody. It's not helping me, it's not helping you, it's not helping another man in Montana that only makes $10 an hour and only has to work 38 hours a week because his company refuses to make him full-time or make him work 40 hours because they know then they'll have to qualify him for full-time and health insurance. This is the thing. And when Biden comes out, when he comes out, after we voted for him, after Democrats continue to tell us that he's the next FDR wouldn't be fucking doing this shit. Sure, FDR was a piece of shit for what he did to the Japanese Americans, for what he did to African Americans by keeping them under the heel of segregation. But FDR dreamt of an America where we all have adequate health care, we have adequate housing, where we have adequate lives. And right now, what Biden's doing, what Biden's saying, and what his campaign's giving us to the public and telling us that, hey, I said I was going to forgive student loan debt because of Corona, because of COVID-19. And here I am, I'm not going to anymore. I'm only going to give it to $10,000 in private student loans to economically distressed individuals. What does that even mean? It means he doesn't give a real rat's ass about you. The Democrats are better than Republicans, don't get me wrong. But when he's elected and you tell everybody to, hey, let's just go to brunch now, you are not being a great person. You're living in a bubble. You're living in a tiny little bubble that refuses to actually acknowledge the problems in America. America has so many problems, and the student debt, it continues to go up. And it'll continue to affect my generation, continue to affect millennials, continue to affect people even after our generations, because we refuse to get rid of it now to deal with the problem. Because when people tell you that, hey, student loans aren't going to affect your children, your student loans aren't going to transfer onto your children, sure, that debt isn't going to transfer. But you know what it is? The problem is when that adult is alive and they have a child with student loan debt, that adult can't take that child out to, have a great birthday party, can't be able to sometimes even afford a car for that child to have extracurricular activities, which helps with which has been proven to help with academic excellence. Doesn't allow them to get in a decent neighborhood. And depending on the poverty level of that family, because of student loan debt and other debts and other problems, the debt transfers. It may not be monetary, but it's socially, economically for that child. That child may not be able to go to, college because his parents can't help him afford it. And at some points, even state schools, state-sponsored schools, public universities, student loans don't even cover some of those sometimes. Sometimes you have to get federal help. So the thing is when your politicians tell you, we're going to means test the shit out of student loans forgiveness, what they're basically telling you is, screw you, screw your kids, screw their economic survival after a while, because I guarantee you, most of us struggle while paying off our student loans. Not all of us get that cushy $65,000 to $75,000 job that everybody else gets. Those jobs aren't for everyone. They aren't available for everyone. Some of us have to struggle. And all I'm really going to say to end this segment is we can't stop fighting. If you believe in progressive ideas, don't just go like, hey, Biden's elected, he's a progressive candidate, I'm done. Because that's ridiculous. Progressives, especially socialists, democratic socialists, even the Marxists, even you weird tankies, as much as I don't like tankies, I have to say it. We come from a long line of people that have seen injustice in this country and have fought to change it. And we need to come together. Maybe not the tankies, maybe not you. You guys can go away. You're not a part of this club. We need to come together. We need to understand that our fight isn't done. And the only way to bring an America that we envision as being an amazing place where people can have adequate education, people can have adequate health care, people can have adequate housing, is to stop means testing and allowing everybody that opportunity. This is Kuwu, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, follow my Twitch channel. I try and stream I'm trying to stream more. Follow my Twitter. But thank you guys. I hope you have a nice day. And peace be upon you, brothers and sisters.